Welcome everyone to your daily episode of This is a Revolution. Today I'm joined by the man who thinks about me in the bath apparently, Dave the Mark, and the person you will know from ring announcing every Revpro show, Francesca Oliver, who I've just confused the hell out of right now.
Yeah, and I don't think I want to ask about it, to be fair.
Check your Instagram stories, my lovely. You'll see.
Okay.
This afternoon, to provide context to the people listening, Dave texted me this afternoon saying, "Is it wrong if I say I'm in the bath and thought about you?" And I was like, "You're only human." And then it turns out that Dave was listening to one of my favorite bands, the Gaslight Anthem, and that's what prompted him. But I've not done one of these intros to I've tried to break Dave for a while, so I know there's a selection of our audience that really like to see Dave's reaction when I do something or say something just before the camera starts rolling. So that was for them. So yes, we are joined by Francesca. 1 week away from OVO Arena, Wembley, Revpro's 14th anniversary show. How are you feeling?
Starting to get nervous. I'm not going to lie, because the announcement was nearly a year ago now, and it was very much, it's all right. I don't have to think about it yet. And then suddenly, Cardiff's over. The next show is Wembley. So yeah, you'll have to excuse me. I've got Alfie Bow with a cone on his head, and he's got an itchy back, so he's trying to wriggle around. There we go. You go that way. But yeah, and plus I have to think about my dog a lot.
Guest, mate. You're helping our reach here.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna bring in the dog audience as well. Yeah. Perfect.
Oh, absolutely. Alfie Bow, comes with a reputation.
So it's funny that now I feel bad because you said you're already starting to feel nervous, but it occurred to me today that this might be the show where you have to do the most announcements of any show this year, more so than even the Revolution Rumble. Because the Rumble obviously has 30 announcements and then like 4 or 5 other matches.
Yes.
I think we're looking at like between 30 and 40 wrestlers on this card.
Potentially.
When you actually go through and you're like, well, we're on 10 matches already that include a scramble and a gauntlet. God knows how many people that gauntlet could be over in 2 minutes, or it could take 20 minutes and 20 wrestlers. Who knows?
But then who's in it? We don't even know who's in it.
Yeah, exactly, right? So you're going to have loads of people there looking to see, am I getting in? Am I not getting in? And potentially there's a whole row of names there for you as well. At least the one thing is it will be more spread out than a Revolution Rumble, where it is every 60 seconds Francesca's on the mic.
Well, thankfully with the Rumble, I don't announce them as they're coming in. It's more of their elimination, so they could be literally boom, boom, boom after one another, and that's as long as I can see who actually got eliminated as well. But yeah, no, I think one of the ones that I had the most announcements for would have been Global Wars last August, because we had that 10-man all-star match. And then, of course, we had several of the matches as well. But no, thank you, Dave. Thank you for that. But, Andy doesn't make me do these things unless he thinks that I can do these things. He, for some strange reason, has faith in me, which actually really helps, because me, not much.
At least you're not going to have a scenario where you've got one wrestler with like 500 belts. You've got to remember all the names off, right? Like, because that itself was a challenge.
That was definitely something that I continuously kept running in my brain, obviously, for however months that carried on. And of course, they changed as well, and some came in, some came out. And then also, like, at Uprising in December, literally like the match before, I was told, okay, Mercedes is putting these belts on the line, and I'm like, well, that's messed up my routine. So then I had to then quickly take them out, make sure I still had the ones that I needed, and then still say what was what. But hopefully just actual wrestlers intros, and some wrestlers intros that we have aren't necessarily short. But yeah, well, we'll just see how it goes.
Alexis Falcon and her many, many monikers.
Absolutely. Well, it was when I think Alexis Falcon versus Rio, because they both have a significant amount of things to say. I'm sure people get bored of my voice. They're like, "Oh, you're going to shut up yet?" In fact, I know several people do say that.
Absolutely never.
No.
Do you know what though? The more I go to like non-Revpro shows, the deeper respect I have for what you do and how you do it, because it's so rare to see like an MC in the ring announcing without any form of cue card.
Yeah.
Like you have your little book that you keep with you when you're sitting at ringside, but it doesn't enter the ring with you. And I see some exceptional ring announcing where they're very, very subtle with their cue cards, but the cards are still there. And you are literally just like, I know this. I will remember it. The words are in my head. They will come out of my mouth. It's so impressive.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Because, yeah, it is everything in the ring that I ever say is purely just coming from out here. I don't have a earpiece, because I know a lot of people, when I was doing Mercedes bouts, was thinking that someone was feeding that to me. Nope, that was all just, yeah, cram it in, get it out. And then literally after the show, if you ask me, I'm like, because it just needs to be in there for that certain amount of time. But yeah, I do have my book with me. A lot of the time that is mainly just go, what match is next? Oh yeah. And then go in and do it. But yeah, no, and it was something that Andy had said when first getting to Revpro, is like, I don't want you to read anything, which thankfully, when I was working with other promotions, it was something that if I needed to, I did, but 9 times out of 10, I would cram it in before going into the ring, say what I needed to say, and then out again. Because not that I want to say it looks more professional, but with my background of performing and like doing stage and stuff, I'm used to having to recite things. So yeah, it's all worked out kind of well, I guess. Watch me forget everything that I need to say next week.
Like, let's touch some wood. Touch some wood
I
nearby.
don't know if I've got. Oh yeah, I do. That's wood. There we go.
So this will be, am I right in saying, your 5th anniversary show?
Yes.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14?
Yes. But it all depends on whether you class the 1-2 night things.
Yeah, of course.
It was
we had 2 nights for the 10th anniversary and 2 nights for the 13th anniversary. How, like, obviously, I'm assuming, but surely the bigger the stage, the more the nerves. Like, the bigger the audience, the more the nerves. But is there also an element of enjoying the big occasion?
Absolutely. So it used to be, because obviously Revpro gave me a stage to perform in front of larger audiences. So initially that was kind of very nerve-wracking. But you do tend to kind of get used to it. So yeah, over my time, we've done the Copper Box. York Hall was a big first one for me. Crystal Palace, and then of course when I worked with Ring of Honor, that was the Utilita in Cardiff, and then the Co-op Live in Manchester. And you start to kind of adapt to go. It doesn't matter how many people are there. For me, I just want to get my job right. So I kind of now don't dwell on how many people are watching me at once, but more of whether it's 50 people or, over 4,000 people or more. I just want to do what I do correctly. and I put a lot of pressure on myself to do that. So I'm more nervous about me getting my job right more than, how many eyes are on me. And the bigger the stage, the brighter the lighting, can't really see sometimes. So, and I found that when I was doing stage as well, because you've got the lights on you, yes, you'll see the first couple of rows, but anything behind that, it's kind of, you don't really see it that much.
No, it is weird. When I was younger, I used to do stage shows. So I remember going to like our local sort of festival hall, and I could see those couple of rows, and then everything else was just black because you just got the light hitting you, and you like you said, you don't notice it in there. But there's still that knowledge of what that's like as well, right? That's the size you're in, the cachet and everything. I was at that AEW show or Ring of Honor show in Cardiff, and like one of the things that I loved most about it was obviously when you came out, there was a few of us. It was me, Aaron, Joseph, and a few others who were like, "Oh my god, like this is," and we were all just sat next to each other. When you actually got in the ring and you got your Francesca chant, that was like, it was such a moment because we were like, we're just gonna chant no matter what, and then we were like, oh, lots of people are doing this. Like that must have, even if you're like thinking about the big stages and thinking, like, I just want to go there and get my job right. Like for that size of a stage, having that come back to you on a non-Revpro show, that must have felt nice.
It was crazy. Like I even had to just stop for a moment and go, yeah, this is happening. And I very much appreciate that people even make the effort to chant my name, because it was never something when going into wrestling that I would even be known as a person. I just thought I'd be known as a voice kind of thing. And there are still some shows that I go out to, and it's maybe with a new crowd. They don't know who I am, and so I don't give that pause. I don't expect it. I just go on with it. But yeah, when suddenly everyone joined in Cardiff, I was just like, wow, like I just never expected that. And I did have to take a moment before bending down and getting into the ring and really absorbing it all. But I'm just so grateful. I am just so grateful that just little old me, that you guys just make the effort. It's so appreciated. Like you all just don't understand how much it means to me.
But you say little old you, and this is one of the things that we're finding with everyone that we're interviewing, right? So we've interviewed Kanji, I've met the Cowboys, we've had Ethan Allen, all these people, Jay, and everyone is so humble about the skills that they've got, right? And we include you with that as well. The thing that I, like, when I say really enjoyed, obviously I enjoyed the shows, but one of the things I really enjoyed seeing with you on that Ring of Honor show was the difference in what that scale show Francesca was compared to Revpro scale, because it's a very different beast in how you have to tackle it, right? It's live TV, you've got your cues, you need to make sure you're on your time cues, where the worst thing that happens in Revpro is, oh no, we probably go 5 minutes over. And Revpro's not, in the most respectful way, not known for keeping on time most of the time. Like, it does go over a little bit, it starts late, independent wrestling, but you don't have that luxury with a TV product. So I really like seeing differences of how you switched up, and it was that style that I would say I'd be more used to from seeing with the American ring announcers. I just thought it was such a cool little dynamic to see live.
Thank you. Like, it was very much all just thrust upon me. Like the night before, I guess ignorance was bliss, because I had no idea until I was woken up by a phone call by Andy, basically saying, check your phone, can you get to Cardiff today? And I was like, what? So yeah, there was literally no preparation. I hung up on Andy, went and dyed my hair, got in the car. Took the dog to my mum's, because of course I wasn't expecting to be doing anything on that Saturday. We had a show on the Sunday, but yeah, I didn't expect any of that. So yeah, I took the dog to my mum's and off to Cardiff, and then was in it, and then here you go do this. So yeah, it was a big adaptation, but you guys would have noticed in the last couple of shows, we've now tried to adapt that to help with timekeeping and tighten everything up to also kind of, like you say, Jordan, a bit more of that American kind of style, which is something that you guys are going to see a lot more in the future. Something also that is kind of always stuck with me a little bit is because when people have always seen what I do on Revpro, they've always thought that I can only do that, or that is only what I do. I only do it at this time. I only say it at this time. Or like, this is, you know, most performers should be, you know, moldable, directable. If you want something for your product, tell me what you want, and I will try my best to go and do that. But yeah, so different styles, especially last minute. Sometimes I feel like the adrenaline helps being last minute because it kind of pushes you. But yeah, I can do lots of different things. Whatever you want, I'll do it. And that's, yeah, this kind of style is what we're going to see carrying on with Revpro for the foreseeable. And of course, when me now talking over the music, I've noticed people are a little bit like, do we say one form? Everyone always just feel free, say it when the music's happening, don't say it. But what I do ask is when we do those championship matches, obviously they still will be in ring, be part of the atmosphere, be part of the match, and shout it back, because I know as a spectator myself, I'd love to shout it, you know. So and I love for everybody else to be a part of that. So
it was the Southampton show, wasn't it? That was the first one that had the so effectively, like, the change for anyone that's not quite familiar with what we're talking about. The change is that before, a wrestler's music would come to an end, you'd then enter the ring and introduce the next match and say introducing first, and then their music would hit. Whereas now, the moment you step into the ring, the first person's music hits, and you're talking over their music to say introduce him first. And good friend of the channel and Southampton season ticket holder Spike and I were stood together in Southampton, and we're both a pair of ADHDers, and we were like, I love this. Like, the dopamine hit of just like, that match is finished, the next match is starting, that match is finished, the next match is starting. And I think it's a really, really clever adaptation, because I've had loads of conversations this year within Revpro, with like Andy and with Craig and people like that, where we're like talking about the show afterwards, and the constant kind of thing of like, the show went a little bit longer than we would have wanted, but you don't want to take any of the action away, because all the matches were really good. All the matches deserved the time that they had. When I first started going to Revpro, it was a lot of 6-match cards and 7-match cards, and occasionally you'd get an 8-match card. Now everything's an 8-match card, and occasionally there'll be a 9-match card, and with that, everything's going to last that little bit longer. But if you cut a minute from each match by doing the announcements this way, it makes a significant impact on the duration of the whole evening. And the crowd don't come completely down at the end of a match to then have to come completely back up. They're going half down and then bouncing back up. Such a small detail, but I think a really, really positive one.
It is, and it just keeps things keep flowing. So, but yeah, like you said, you just, that little bit from here and there, after a 3-hour show, it soon adds up. Definitely so. And, you know, George, not like going to like me says, so did little old me. I don't mind. You know, I got into wrestling, like I said, not to be the personality. It was to just make the wrestlers sound good. So I will continue to do that in whatever format possible.
So talk to us a little bit, mate, about your Wembley day. you'll travel up from home Saturday morning?
Yeah, I'll go and drop the dog off, and then.
And then what does your day look like?
What generally? So yeah, waking up, shower, getting all my stuff. Hopefully, if I am prepared, then my stuff will already be together, ready to go. But if not, I will get that all together, pack the car up, take the dog to my mum's. Then yeah, just head off to London. Depending on time, I might stop, go straight to the venue, find out the card, because this is what I have a lot of the time. Everybody comes to me trying to get exclusives and being like, oh, who's going to be in this? I'm like, don't understand. I don't know until you know, unless there's a graphic online. I don't know.
Do we
So,
just have to stop
yeah,
now then?
Huh?
Do we just have to stop now then if there's no exclusives here?
Oh, I might have an exclusive. I might have an exclusive for you later. Not about Wembley, but I might have an exclusive for you.
Oh, look at that.
So yeah, I say hello to everyone, find out what actually is going on, and then yeah, just get ready and do it. That's it's very simple. I'm very low maintenance. I really am. Just yeah, go do the show.
So you say
Then-
that get ready and go and do it and stuff like that, but do you have like a routine? Obviously, I imagine you would have a routine. Like everyone who's performed must have something they do beforehand when they're there to either like get their voice ready or just get ready for the event or stuff like that. Do you do anything like that? And the important question I've got for you is obviously it's going to be about a 5-hour show. How does the water bottle management technique go into that show?
Well, if I remember rightly, at the last copper box, I got through 7 bottles of water.
Dave's face.
So and several toilet breaks. I often, when it comes to the needing a toilet break, if I know who the next match is, I'll go to them and be like, "How long have I got?" And they're like, "No, you're good." I'm like, "Thank goodness for that. I will go do the announcement, and then I will run to the toilet." But as far as a routine, yes, I do. You guys will probably notice the first my entrance when I start talking. Sometimes I'm a little bit gravelly or a little bit like my vocal quality is not exactly where I want it to be at the start. It's because by the time I've got ready and I'm like, right, do the 2-minute call. Damn it, I haven't done my vocal warm-ups. But I do have a specific. I call it a vocal warm-up. It's more to keep my brain, like switch my brain on. But I recite it, and like a lot of people say, it's my little rap that I do. But it's from so a big fan of an artist called Ren, and it's his song Genesis. But there's a drum and bass version which is quicker and snappier. So I try and just get that out as quickly as possible. And then I'll do my scales with that. Like you pinch your cheeks and you go, and you keep going up and down, so because then it vibrates your vocal cords.
Okay.
And yeah, just lots of water. Sometimes if I've got a bit more privacy, then I'll do a bit singing, because I don't want to just harass everybody with my voice. Backstage, especially, as a lot of the time we've only got a girl's changing room and a guy's changing room. But yeah, that's pretty much my my routine. And as far as water also goes, I've got my big water sparkly jug.
Look at that. And I imagine in the lead up to the show, it's firmly a no chocolate rule.
It is. I try and avoid dairy because it creates it produces mucus. Therefore, I do try, but when your diet is 90% chocolate, it is a struggle. And then the food below that is cheese. So it is a real struggle for me. But yeah, next week is going to be tough. But, you know, if I'm not going to commit to do it for Wembley, then when am I?
Yeah. I mean,
But yeah, no, definitely maybe 2 or 3 days before. That's it. Dairy's out the window.
all I'll say to the Revpro roster is if when a Southampton show happens around Easter, there is one person on here that you have to thank for the Easter eggs. So, yeah.
You do tend to get a message, don't you, George?
Well, I quite literally get the message. So it's near Easter this time. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was. It's like, oh, is it on it? Oh, bless you though. For last year, that you had every intention of getting us Easter eggs at Doncaster.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh god, I forgot about that. Yeah, I literally, Dave, I literally lost my wallet. Like I couldn't find it anywhere. And it got to the stage where I was like, I can't find my wallet anywhere. I have bank cards, ID, everything in. I thought I'd lost it on the train, so I went to the train station. They were like, yeah, we hold them for like a day, then we send them all off to Waterloo. And I'm like, oh my god, like, because that's where the main hub is. And then, but you have to go onto this website and you have to type in what your wallet looks like. And my wallet is like plain black wallet with a little bit of silver on. And they were like, yep, you have to go and you like literally say what you think might be yours, but you don't get pictures and you just have to like basically bid for it almost. I was like, right, I'm done. Cancelled all my cards. A couple of days later, we had this little shoe rack up the stairs, and somehow, my wallet had fallen down in by the shoe rack and lodged against the wall.
So that's the story why I didn't get an Easter egg last year.
Hey, but you still no, that was the year. Yeah, the year that I was gonna say, no, you still got them there, but no, you're right. You're right. Yeah, it was this year. Because and then the other one we were looking at, we're thinking, we've got Apple Pay, so that should work in the supermarkets. And then all of the supermarkets in Doncaster were closed as well because it was Easter Sunday.
It was actually Easter Sunday, wasn't it?
Easter Sunday. So like I was like, I'll just go to the Asda and use Apple Pay. No, not one Easter egg available. So, but yeah, especially when it's in Southampton, if you wonder who is to thank for the Easter eggs, you've got that someone who quite literally sends the message that it's Easter.
But I always say I don't expect them.
No, you do. You do. I don't expect them, but you know it's Easter. You know it's Easter. The one that we got. Yeah, this year it was. It's Easter weekend, and you were like, actually, no, it's not. It's the weekend before Easter, isn't it? Yeah.
A lot of people may have realised my weeks and dates this year has gone out the window. Like my calendar. What was it when I was in? It was Women's Grand Prix. I think I said we're only 5 weeks away, and they're like, "No, you're not." And I was like, "Okay." Next day, we are almost 5 weeks away.
The schedule this year, though, has just been absolutely relentless, right? Like, it's a relentless schedule anyway, but it just feels like the number of off weeks is getting slimmer and slimmer each year. So we have no Revpro this weekend, and I think that's the first one in ages.
At least 2 months.
The first one for ages as well.
Yeah. But I personally, I kind of like it. I don't like having a weekend off before Wembley. I'm not going to lie, because I feel a little bit then out of practice. But I do have a show with a different company this weekend, so I will just be adapting everything to that to be my practice almost. Yeah, but yeah, I like to be able to plan sometimes that, this weekend I can go off and do that. But at the same time, Revpro sounds really corny, but it is kind of family. Like I've been there for 5 years, pretty much on a week on basis. And it feels, odd not to be there. So I'm more than happy. There you go, Andy. I'm more than happy if you want to book more shows. I will be there. But then he knows that.
Yeah.
It was a couple of years ago where he didn't even send me the schedule because he told me, he was like, well, Francesca, I know you'll be there. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I'd like to at least like know where I'm going and when.
Yeah,
But no, I am fully committed.
the family thing is something that Ethan was saying to us yesterday, and he was saying how he loves it, like week on week. You just see the same people and all of that. And it's crazy when you think that these, like, you see these wrestlers all the time, right? You very regularly can see Michael Oku, Luke Jacobs and stuff. When you think about it, the only person we literally see at every Revpro show on screen is you. And that's quite a unique achievement to know that, like, that's the one constant is we're always going to have Francesca there. And yeah, the face of Revpro in a lot of ways.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, I am fully committed to this. I could go off and do other things, but I believe, and I have always believed since day one, in the product. And the only way that I can show that is by being there and devoting my time and effort into it on a weekly basis. Because I believe in it, and I believe, and I've said to you before, George, about like trying to manifest like the next stage, and it's crazy that it's not already there, is a television deal. And I mean like a real television deal. So sorry, he's so wriggly.
He's cute, it's allowed.
Yeah. Thankfully you just can't quite see the cone head, which is scraping up my legs terrible. My poor mum, we went there the other day and he was like bang, bang, bang. And she was like, oh, and I'm like, leave her alone.
Oh, bless him.
You're
Look,
an old lady now.
To your point, look, we're a big deal this show, right? We know how big a deal we are. We know that Andy Burnham watches this show. Mandate the BBC to have Revpro have a weekly television deal, Andy. If you're really serious about people paying the license fee for good programming, give Revpro that weekly TV deal. And if you can, set it around EastEnders, because I think that would make Andy Quilder's life if EastEnders was the lead-in to Revpro. Imagine that. Like, think of
Oh
the
my
cross.
goodness.
I mean, I don't know who the current characters are, but think of the synergy and the crossovers. Like, you could have Porchester Hall and Cat Slater turns up or something like that. Like,
Bree and Beale.
yeah, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love that. That is mine and Andy's thing, is EastEnders.
I love
that's what we chat about.
George, you
But
say
yeah.
like you don't know who the current feet like main people are in EastEnders. I don't think it's changed, mate.
There's still some of the staples in there, which your Ian Beales, your Cat Slaters, your Phil Mitchells.
Yeah, the main guys are still there. It's funny because I think like so World of Sport was the last time we had any form of wrestling on TV, and it's really hard because the product that they put out was not. I mean, it wasn't successful. It wasn't successful because they didn't renew it. And the trouble is that because it was given an opportunity, it's almost like it was given a rope to hang itself with, because wrestling's always been unfashionable. And then when you put it on TV, you give it a chance and it doesn't succeed, then there's like wrestling on TV doesn't work. We won't do that again. And I always think about what it would look like, an Andy Quilden product on weekly TV, because my wife and I had a chat like on our podcast about what we'd do if we won the lottery. Like if we became like mega rich, and like once you've paid off the mortgage and you've set the kids up for life, and it's like now you can think big. And she was like, well, surely you'd start your own wrestling company, right? And I was like, no, I don't think I would. I'd just give a fuckload of money to Andy and be like, I'm going to put you on the big stage and let you do your thing, and then I get to enjoy it. Like, I won't interfere. I'm not going to claim to be a wrestling booker or some kind of like genius storyline teller, but he is. Like, genuinely, when people talk about like Booker of the Year, and it's always Tony Khan or Triple H, or, you know, occasionally it would be Gedo and it would be New Japan, and you're like, that's cool. They're big products. They're the ones that people are voting for. But you're like, just look at the storytelling that's being told. And it's not just Andy. Like, there are other companies in the UK that tell great stories as well. But like the fact that this year's main event of Wembley is Mills versus Oku, we've currently got a 7-minute hype package out, which tells 1/3 of the history of Mills and Oku. So part 1's out. We've got part 2 and part 3 ready to go. They're each like 7 or 8 minutes long. So you've made yourself a half an hour mini documentary about this rivalry, and it's just from Revpro on demand footage. None of it is actually Oku and Mills talking.
Yeah.
So you think, actually, you could make an 1.5-hour documentary here telling the story of Mills and Oku going into Wembley. That's like unheard of. Like, that's sort of like a Randy Orton, John Cena WrestleMania main event, and you can tell their history together. But this is independent wrestling where none of these guys are contracted to Revolution Pro Wrestling. Andy can't sit and be like, right, let's come up with a year-long plan for what I'm going to do. He can come up with what he wants to happen in a year's time. And I know full well he already has in his head who's main event in next year's anniversary show and a rough plan of how he might get there. But he can't actually plan that, because at any given moment, anybody can get offered a contract and get spooked up. That doesn't happen in big companies. They're contracted for a reason. And like, I always think that, like, for me, it felt like last year, well, first of all, it felt like Zazaya was being set up to win the Revolution Rumble.
Okay.
And then it felt like that pivoted to Leon. And then it pivoted to Shah. And that might be me completely just picking things up that Andy's putting down purposefully to lead us off track. But it could also be like the fact that, well, yeah, Zazaya was ready to get the monster push, and then he had the WWE tryout. And then Leon got started being used for NXT. And suddenly you're like, shit, we've just lost like 2 of our biggest stars. We've lost our ability to just use them as and when we want to. Now we have to use them when we can, and also have the idea that have it in the back of our heads that we can't put all our eggs in that basket, because we aren't the ones in control of their bookings. It's something that I think, like, it's been a bit of a recurring theme for us, George, this week, mate, hasn't it? In our interviews, the fact that so many people support British wrestling and independent wrestling, but they don't necessarily always have a full understanding of what it is they're supporting and what the actual process of putting shows together looks like when it is a one-man band with just Andy Quilden behind everything and a group of wrestlers who are navigating their own journeys. It's such a complicated kind of sphere to work within. The idea of it being on national telly one day is like the absolute dream, because that's the way we get to keep these guys in the UK. And for them, because there's always that part of us where it's like, I don't want to see any of them go. But on the other hand, I want to see them all make the money they deserve to make in life, and be able to put the 9 till 5 to bed and just be a full-time professional wrestler on a living wage, on a better than living wage. Like, that's like a minimum thing that I think we can all hope for everybody. But realistically, only a handful will be able to achieve that. unless the whole climate changes. And that's where weekends like next weekend are massive, because the more people that are in Wembley, the more we put a spotlight on wrestling is a big deal, the more times we can do shows like that, the more likely someone is to see it and think, do you know what, maybe we could put this on telly.
And that's the thing as well, like you said earlier, with like World of Sport and other things that have been on television. When you just, if you were just to go to a producer and be like, we're a wrestling show, that is what they're going to think of. They don't understand that actually Revolution Pro Wrestling is a whole different product. It's as much as we, with the interaction with the crowd and the boo and the yay, it's another level. It's not. It's strange because, like, especially with you, Dave, because you bring with your kids, so it is kind of for the whole family, but it's not directed as a family-friendly show.
Mm-hmm.
So for me personally, if it was to get on television, it's not going to be like, the back in the day World of Sport lunchtime Saturday afternoon viewing. We're talking maybe Tuesday night, 10 o'clock. Here we go. And I'm poor. I live on very, very little. I don't ask for much. Just even if it worked out full time, like you said, national living wage, I'd be more than happy to be doing something that I dearly, dearly loved with the people that I love around me, doing the same thing, than it just still slightly being out of our grasp. But we are trying to manifest.
Absolutely.
And
we need to get some of these producers at the shows to experience, because I think that's the thing as well. Like I said, they look at things like World of Sport and they go, oh, well, wrestling's this, or they watch it on TV and go, wrestling's this. But one of the things I said to Ethan yesterday was Revpro have absolutely, and not just Revpro, but mainly have spoiled TV wrestling for me, because actually being there live and experience it, the closeness you get to experience it, and how visceral it can be, and the little things, the little nuggets that you get by being there live. One of the people I credit most of this is Amira, right? Like the stuff and the storylines that are currently going on. So you said that it's not family friendly, but it's not family friendly either. Like, it's that balance, and you've got a story where if you're really invested in all the parts between Michael and Amira, that treads a very thin line where you could claim psychological abuse almost. That's what I'm seeing some people, and they're talking about things like EastEnders and stuff like that. And then in the same show, you're seeing them do something that might be a bit comedic, like the show at the Tram Shed. Michael and Alexis were doing comedic stuff as well. So there's bits there for everyone. But you see the little things that Amira might do where 5 people around that area might notice. So for me, it was Southampton the other weekend. Joe was about to do something to Michael. I think it was Frankenstein or something. Amira turned round and there was 2 little kids on the stage, and she just grabbed their hands and she said, I'm really worried about this. Can you just let me know when it's done and that he's okay? And she closed her eyes. No one would have picked up on that if you weren't there. And I'm like, this is incredible. Like, this is what it can be. And that's why when you like talk about TV deals and you've got these executives, they're never going to actually come, but I would love them to actually get to come to these shows and sit in different pockets and areas and see the effect it has on people there in the moment, rather than just watching on a screen, because that's where I think British wrestling really does shine.
Absolutely. And just with Revpro over the last over the years that I've been with them, is the new eyes getting on the product. And I don't know many people, in fact I don't really know anyone that doesn't come to a Revpro show and not become a fan. So once you get the broader audience, then of course you're gonna have a lot more support to it. But if they don't know it exists and they're not already in it, it's gonna take a TV deal. So but otherwise, yeah, hey, we're going to Wembley. It's crazy that is like, never in my wildest dreams did I think at the age I was now, or at any point in my life, that I could say that I was going to the OVO Arena, Wembley, and I will be there with microphone in hand announcing and hosting a show at the OVO Arena, Wembley. It's just wild. So yeah,
Yeah, such a landmark achievement. Like, if you think about the
really.
wrestling that's happened in there, I mean, I've been in there as a fan. I've watched Kurt Angle, I've watched Sting, I've watched Hogan. Like those TNA tours in their like the prime era as well. Like that's incredible in itself. WWE years ago used to go there. You had NXT takeovers there, and it's such a hotbed for like history of wrestling for bigger companies, and for Revpro to be coming up on that as well. And I know Progress did it as well. They did it with that real boom period, but you're in a period now where maybe you don't have as much of a central focus as you did before. Like, this is really go against all of the odds, cost of living, all, like, the scene just isn't as like outwardly hot as it was at that time in terms of numbers of people who just had disposable cash, you could just go and invest and all of that sort of stuff. So to be able to just kind of going against what current trends might tell you is not achievable, and he's just going for it, and it's an exciting prospect. And when the tickets came out, I booked front row straight away because I was like, this is going to be special. And I do like a premium seat anyway, but I won't always go for them. But this was like Revpro in an arena, like, that has to be done.
It's wild. And obviously Andy has tried to make the tickets affordable for everybody as well, so it doesn't matter whether you want those premium seats or if you want to just be in like the tiered seating. It's affordable, and if everybody wants to come along, they can. So yeah, I really hope that people do like come and support us. And if there's anybody that I know that's coming, please message me before, because if you're gonna just send me a message during the show and be like, hi, I'm here, chances are I'm not going to look at my phone. I've got far too many other things going. But if I know you're going to be there, then if I've got a chance after the show, I will come and find you. But yeah, I do hope that, yeah, just everybody take the, whether you're in London to see All In the next day, or you've just got like a free bank holiday weekend, you've not got any plans at the minute, hey, come to Wembley. I think it's like £39, like potentially 40 something with a booking fee. When are you going to Wembley Arena for that arena for, you know, that kind of price? Because even with concerts nowadays, tickets are crazy money. Personally, I don't get to go to a lot of these gigs and things that I'd like to, because like you said, the cost of living. But yeah, this is a special occasion that is affordable and is just the peak of pretty much most of the roster's career as far as working in the UK. So please come and share it with us.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. And you're right, like, this, for some people, this will be the peak of what they hit. And that's an amazing achievement, right? For some, they'll go on and do bigger shows, but who knows? Revpro could be back there next year. Because what I'm feeling as a fan is I've been coming since the first Copper Box. So that I've not been to any of the anniversaries before. I wasn't going to go to the first Copper Box. Shingo and Will got announced, went, take my money. And I've been coming every year ever since. And I've seen the kind of the feeling of the fan base going up and up. This year feels so different. It feels on another level, and it almost feels like a level of like an AEW or WWE in importance. And seeing all of the talent being interviewed here, there, and everywhere, the way fans are speaking, fans are getting invested as well. It really does feel like a landmark moment for Revpro that they can really take advantage of.
It really, yeah. Really is. And who knows where we go after this? But do you want my exclusive?
Go for it.
Bonjour Paris. Je m'appelle Francesca. I'm going to Paris with Revpro in September. So finally, I'm actually on the road with Revpro internationally, because of course I've done international shows before, but when it comes to Revpro, I get left at home, but not this time. So I'm very, very excited to be in Paris next month with APC Catch and
That's
Revpro.
amazing. Well deserved.
So there we go. Thank you. So yeah, that's your exclusive. I hadn't announced that anywhere.
Oh, look at that. Dropping a lovely exclusive for us. That is a lovely bit of news. I'm looking forward. I was actually looking at that Paris show thinking I'd be tempted. Then I realised I wouldn't be in the country when it was happening. I was like, oh, okay,
No.
well that one goes out the window. Because
that's quite a flight if you did want to come along.
Yeah, like, I'm just gonna come to that show and then just go back straight after. Yeah, don't think that's gonna be happening, but I'll catch.
But it's all right. It'll hopefully be on Revpro On Demand, which is available on the Roku app, Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, iOS and Android, and of course find it at www.revproondemand.com. It's almost like I say that at every show.
Love that. Absolutely love that. And it's great for you, mate, that you get to go to on one of the European tours, because the way everybody talks about those shows is like, it's so wholesome and so supportive. Like, I remember seeing the little clips of like Young Guns last year, like on their little mopeds flying around Barcelona, and I did a little bit of content the other day with True and Lacey, and like Mark True genuinely put over the trip to Berlin as like his favorite foreign holiday that he's ever been on. He was just like, it was just such a family vibe, like everybody going for food afterwards. All the guys went to the Lyon football game last year after the Lyon show, and like had like a big experience together, and that's awesome. I love that immensely. I think how, like, when we think about like what's next for Revpro, we get it all the time of people saying like, oh, Revpro need to go here, Revpro need to go there, Revpro need to be in Newcastle, Revpro need to be in Liverpool, they need to come back to Manchester. And I think about the fact that every single show, whether it is somewhere they've been to before, whether it is going to the tram shed for the first time in like 3 years, or whether it is just committing to, do you know what, we did the HMV Empire, and then it was like, right, now we're going to do the HMV Empire 6 times a year, and you've signed up. It's literally Andy putting his money where his mouth is, and everything is a risk, right? Because ultimately, like, you can do the maths when you see the number of people at a show, you know what the admission tickets were, like the cost of admissions, you know how much Revpro On Demand is a month, and then you're like, well, now think about all of the people working this show that's getting paid for today. Now think about the infrastructure of things. I remember I try to be diplomatic, but sometimes I get a little bit cross. And I remember having a conversation with somebody a couple of years ago in the 229, and they were like, oh, they need to up the production. And I was just like, yeah, I agree. Where do you want them to save money? What do you want them to cut back on to increase the quality of the production? Do we want less imports? Do we want to say, no, thank you, Zack Sabre Jr. this year? We don't want you on any of the shows. We don't want to bring anybody in from America. Is it the fact that we want to go from 8-match cards down to 6-match cards so that we can save the money to increase the cameras? And when you look at it like that, it's like, it's not like there's a pot of money in the bank to pay for everything. It's a constantly evolving situation, and it's one guy's mortgage on the line at the end of it. And I think, like, with Wembley, that was such a statement, because the copper box was a massive risk. Mm-hmm. And Andy talks about the conversations with Osprey at the time when it was like, we could do York Hall, And I remember him saying he had York Hall booked, and he had Crystal Palace booked, and then and the Copper Box, like kind of like penciled in, like a gentleman's agreement with them. And he had the Copper Box, and he was chatting to Osprey and was like, "What do we do?" And Osprey was like, "Just do the biggest one. We'll make it work." And 4,000 people came to that show, which is, when you think about professional wrestling, is a huge number. Because when AEW did their first show in Cardiff, there weren't that many more people than that there. And that was the first All Elite Wrestling show in the UK. You know, that's a huge deal. When WWE is like something, it's incomparable. You can't compare anything to WWE, because it's this juggernaut monster of a company that has decades of name value and a billionaire owner. And so when you look at the world of wrestling outside of that, New Japan struggled to get more than a couple of thousand people at a show in the UK. When TNA came over, I went to see them in the HMV Empire. You know, that's not 4,000 people, is it? That's where Revpro runs now. And yes, they had more people in it than Revpro had. So where we have where the curtain is. Yeah, where the curtain is, they had seats going back there. So they probably had like an extra 10 rows of people. So like an extra 10 rows of 12 people, so maybe 120 more people. But like that's kind of where we're looking. And the Copper Box was a risk, and it worked. The next year was a risk, because it was, we're going to do the same venue, but we're not booking Will Ospreay and Shingo Takagi to main event it. We're booking Luke Jacobs and Michael Oku. Now, George will remember this fondly. We saw Don Callis in Cardiff. We were we'd just eaten. We came out of our food place, and Don Callis is walking down the road. And he saw us, and he saw our wrestling shirts. And he came over to us and was like, "Guys, where's this venue that I'm meant to be going to? I can't find it." And we were like, "Oh, it's..." We kind of like ushered to where it was, and we're like, "It's just going to be easier if we just walk you there." And he was like, "Oh, cool." And we walked Don Callis to the arena in Cardiff, and he was chatting to us, and we were like, "Here's a chance to talk about Revpro to Don Callis." So we were like, "Oh, Revpro's doing like a big show,
he was
show
in
tomorrow at the Copper Box Arena," and he was like, "Oh, cool. Like, who's headlining it?" And we said Luke Jacobs and Michael Oku. And there was this moment where he was just like, "I don't know those guys." And we're like, and you're like, "Fuck." Like, big deal in America, doesn't know. But he was then like, "Is Gabe Kidd on the show?" Like, yeah, Gabe's on the show. He's got this match. And he's like, "Oh, cool, I know him." Like, but he was very much like, I might pop along to the show then to see the Gabe Kidd match. Like, Meltzer was at the first Copper Box. And like, obviously Jericho came in at the end for the moment, and you've got these risks that are taken, but each time Andy's done it, they've paid off. And Wembley's the risk, because although it is the same sort of size as the Copper Box, it's Wembley. It has a name, and when I say to people like, "Oh, where are you going for wrestling this week?" Because I get asked all the time, "Where's wrestling this week?" Right, "Oh, it's Bradford this week, it's Cardiff this week, it's Southampton this week." And you say it's London. You don't say London, you say it's Wembley Arena. And people are like, "Oh, I know what that is. I know what that is. Wow, that's big." And the fact that Andy said that they're already on course to match the record. Now, we all know what the record is. We know that's 4,000 people. So they're on course to match that. But the next 10 days means they could go above that. And the trends show that the closer we get to a big show, the more tickets are sold. Especially, I suppose, for travelling fans who are looking at it as, "I'm at Wembley Stadium on Sunday. What can I do on Saturday? There's this show, there's that show." And they start committing. It's such bravery, because the reputation of Andy and the company rests on these events being successes. And then you look at, so what's he put on for this Wembley Arena show? And you look at it and you're like, well, that's a Revpro show. top to bottom, that is a Revpro show. Like, Leighton Buzzard versus Nino Bryant for the Cruiserweight Championship is as Revpro a show match as you could get. But then you're like, but Zack Sabre Jr. versus Jay Joshua, that's a Revpro match. Like, it's the thing that I'm most excited for is this celebration of British wrestling. And the fact that it isn't a come and see the stars of Revpro today, yesterday, and tomorrow. It's come watch a Revpro show. Yeah, we've got a couple of bells and whistles because we've got.
Well, that's the thing. We've still got a bit of an element of that because of like Pac, for example.
Yeah.
You know.
But then you think, you announced Pac in Sheffield Network.
I did for the All Atlantic Championship on AEW Dark.
And it's like Pac is, Pac and Michael Oku at York Hall. Pac and Will Ospreay at York Hall. Pac in the British J Cup. Like, I love how the only imports for the show are FTR.
Yes.
In the sense that they're the only people that have no Revpro history. But the whole story of their matches, they're coming in for the dream match. Now, obviously, the match has had to evolve, but the story was there for it absolutely perfectly. And it's going to be such a celebration of what Revolution Pro Wrestling is in 2026.
Oh, absolutely. And it would be a huge disservice to all of those who have worked every week with Revpro to have been, demoted off of the card for some bigger name. But no, I think this was always the best way for Andy to go about this because, yes, it's our 14th anniversary show. Yes, it's in the Wembley Arena. But like you said, it is Revpro.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be there.
It's going to be incredible. And Dave was just mentioning about bells and whistles and stuff like that. Like, I love that we've got Mass Lions coming to play Zach out. Like, because that feels like a huge kind of moment in itself. It's like, because you think of like big WWE shows, right? Don't you? You go like WrestleManias and you go, oh, every now and again. You remember when they had that band there and some were good, some weren't good, but you remembered it because it was an iconic moment. And like, this is going to be an iconic moment for that. For no reason other for me. It just solidified that we're not going to hear that terrible version of the song that New Japan brought in, and we're going to have the OG theme, hopefully, which is it's going to be great. I'm so the more we've been speaking about this, and I've just been sat listening when I've not been speaking, I'm getting so much more excited. Every interview we do, I'm like, this is going to be so cool. Like, and it's next week. Like, we're literally a week away.
Oh, yeah.
It's
still got to alter my dress at the minute. Otherwise, well, you'll be able to tell if I'm tripping over it because it's too long. I didn't have a chance to alter it. But
I love the fact that you've just segued into that because you talking about Mass Lines, George, has made me think about like everybody goes all out for the big shows, right? Everyone gets new gear. If any time we're going to get a special entrance. Whether that is, I think like when Connor Mills debuted the brown fur coat at Uprising in Crystal Palace, and he came out, and I just looked at him and was just like, "You've just become the coolest man in the world. Like you were already there, and now you're there." And like, I'm fascinated to know like, what's Oku gonna wear? What's Amira gonna wear to complement it in whatever way she wants to complement it. What's Ethan talked about the entrances for the FTR match. What will the Cowboys do to this is massive for them because they've got this chip on their shoulder as well. How will that manifest into what it's going to look like? And we talked about like pricing tickets and things like that. So I always think of George as being quite bougie. And George is down there, front row. He's probably got himself a lovely hotel for the night as well.
I do actually, yeah.
Of course you do, mate. Of course you do. Whereas I'm going to be cheap seat somewhere in the tiers, and then I'm going to drive home and sleep at mine, and then drive back to Wembley the next day for All In. And what I'm really looking forward to, I love those seats. I love those seats because when you're in the front row, you get the premium experience. You get to see the whites of everybody's eyes. You get to see everything that's happening in front of you. You get to high five wrestlers. You know, that's one thing that my favourite memory of sitting front row for that sort of experience was getting to Too Sweet Jay White, who's one of my favourite wrestlers in the world. And you get that side of it. But like George, where we sat for the anniversary last year, I think is going to be similar to where I'm sitting for the anniversary this year.
And that was great.
Do you remember, mate, just those moments where it's like you can just pan out and see the whole arena and feel it, and you're such a part of this huge wave of a crowd. It's something we don't get in British wrestling very often. More often than not, we're in, for Revpro, we're in generally nice venues, nice clubs. I love Sheffield Network. It's got a really nice vibe to it. The 1865 is George's favourite venue that he's seen wrestling in. It's my kind of, I love the old school, like, pub vibe of up by the bar, yet you've also got the dirty, dingy club vibe of it downstairs. You've got HMV Empire, which is like lovely and slick. But we've all been to wrestling shows where you're sitting in a village hall, or you're sitting in a community centre, or you're sitting in a school gym. You know, I went to wrestling this year. I went to Grand Slam wrestling in my main hall of my school, which is the weirdest thing in the world, where you're like, I do assemblies there. I stand where that ring is. I know, like, this is weird. My classroom's up there. Like, for us to be able to go from those experiences that we all live week in, week out, to get to go to Wembley Arena, it's to show how rare it is. You know, Progress ran it, was it 2017 that Progress ran it? Mm-hmm. And then prior to that, we'd be going back to the old World of Sport days. And that's, for us three, that's our lifetime.
Yeah.
In our entire lifetime, wrestling at Wembley Arena has occurred a handful of times, where 80% of those times were when we were young children.
Yeah.
And now, like, as adults, it's occurred twice, and the second time is next Saturday.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I first got into wrestling. My first show that I announced was February 2017. So, yeah, that's crazy. And it's funny you say about the school hall thing, because I actually kind of had a full circle moment this year, where I had a very, very last minute booking for Brick King Pro. And it was in Gloucester, and they were like, it's at King's School. And I was like, oh yeah, I know where that is. Not realizing that it was actually in the same building that I used to do, like, my school holidays. During the 6 weeks, we'd have like a week of like dance and drama with the Jacqueline Chidzoy, who used to teach me. And like that was back in the day when Nathan Sykes from The Wanted was also with us. But yeah, so about 3 or 4 summers during my teenage years, I used to spend a week in there doing dance and drama, and then suddenly, about 2 months ago, I'm in there hosting a wrestling show, and like exactly the same room, slightly different. They've got rid of the stage and put tiered seating there. But I'm just like, how weird is this? Like, who knew that, you know, we won't say how many years, but all those years in the future that I would be back hosting wrestling shows there. And then a couple of months after that, being at Wembley Arena. Life is crazy. And you do get these full circle moments sometimes. And you just, yeah, it's so random.
It typifies the scale of British wrestling as well, doesn't it? Like, and it's, I can't remember who we spoke about it with this week, George. The interviews have been incredible. Like, it's been so much fun. We've averaged like maybe 2 a day this week. But we were talking about how like wrestling is such an ecosystem. I think it was Ethan, and how you need to have these different levels of shows because people need places to go and cut their teeth, and they need places to go and learn and make mistakes and find their rhythm and find who they are as a wrestler. And then you only get better by wrestling better people, right? And wrestling better wrestlers and being able to get better feedback and develop it that way. And it's going to be such a brilliant weekend for us as fans, but it's also going to be a weekend for wrestlers up and down the country, because you've got Revpro on Saturday evening, you've got mystery wrestling earlier on in the day on Saturday in Walthamstow at Big Penny Social, you've got Eve on the Friday night, you've got Ceasefire on the Thursday. We've got Riot Cabaret in there somewhere, George. Is that Friday?
Friday night.
Is Friday at the same time as Eve? Like,
yeah.
And you've got all these different opportunities, first of all, to be a part of what is effectively our WrestleMania week. But also for so many wrestlers, a chance for them to look at it and be like, this time next year, I want to be on one of those shows. Or that's my goal. And, you know, I'm going to go down to Catch 22 Wrestling tomorrow in Essex. I'm going to go and see Aaron Joseph wrestle for the first time. And Maverick Mayhew's down there. Taylor James is down there. And then loads of people that I'm excited to see for the first time. And you've effectively got loads of wrestlers there who are at the start of their journeys and looking at where they can go. And it's getting to see people come up through the ranks like that. Like, we talked to Jay Joshua earlier today, and 2 years ago, he hadn't made his Revpro debut yet.
It's only 2 years ago.
And like, I think he made it September 2024. He had his match with Ricky, then he had his match with JJ, then Leon Slater, and then it was like, you're just here now. And he said to us how Andy literally said to him, like, after, I think it was after the Leon match, that it was like, I want you booked for the rest of the year now. Which is just unheard of. Nobody comes into Revpro and just does that. The only other person that's done it is Zaya, which was so out of
fabulous,
left field.
and not even in this country.
Exactly. And now Zaya is where he is. You know, that's incredible in itself. So you just think, like, where was Nino Bryant 2 years ago? And the fact that Leland and Zonda will be a big part of Wembley. And James Ellis
absolutely.
And Josh Holley with Leighton Buzzard. And there are so many people that have come in. Even, like, look at the women's scramble match.
Mm-hmm.
Like, 2 months ago, Lucy Sky had never wrestled for Revpro. Corey Zero had never wrestled for Revpro. A year ago, Myla Grace, I think, wrestled her first match for Revpro. And now Myla Grace feels as big a part of Revpro as anybody in our women's locker room, and is really finding where she fits in. Like, I don't think the world is ready for heel Myla Grace. Like, that's going to be something. That girl has just turned into that bitch, and it's going to be brilliant.
I will not be changing her intro.
No. And I can say that because I'm a long way away from her. Whereas when you say it, she's standing next to you. It's just, I think, like, something that my biggest takeaway of this week is George and I are obviously super passionate about wrestling, right? We wouldn't do all the stuff we do if we weren't super passionate about wrestling. And this week, getting to hear the passion of everybody else,
right, Michael,
and just absorbing all of that. And it just, the more excited you are, the more positive you are about wrestling, the more positive and more excited everybody else is about wrestling. And it's like, we've always joked about the whole like wrestling should be fun phrase, because I'm like, wrestling shouldn't be fun. It should be super, super serious and competitive and sports orientated, but it should be fun, right? It's all about it being just this enjoyable process. And nothing is going to be more fun than having 4,000 people next week enjoying it together.
Absolutely. And that's, yeah, I am, as much as, yeah, the nerves are kicking in, I'm just excited now, because it's a big thing for, yeah, not only for me, not only for obviously Revpro and Andy, but all the wrestlers as well, but especially for the fans. It is a massive experience for all of us to come together and just have a great time and make the most of it. And that's what everybody should do when they come to Revpro, is literally just make the most of it.
That feels like the perfect place to end this. Like, it's been such a good chat and like just getting hyped up for Wembley. So thank you. Yeah, Dave was mentioning the amount that we've done this week. I've just looked and I think this is interview number 8 for me this week. So it's been a busy old week, but it's been, like Dave said, it's the fun of doing this and hearing people's stories and hearing in all of their different ways how excited they are for this show and what they're looking forward to. And it's just giving it that big feel. It's just energizing me and making me excited for next week. So if you who are listening and watching are feeling the same, revolutionprowrestling.com is where you can go and get your tickets for OVO Arena Wembley, Revpro's 14th anniversary show. We touched on it earlier. If you want to be bougie like me, the tickets are there. If you want to get yourself in the door and come and watch the best value ticket in pro wrestling today, that is there as well. Whatever you want, it is there, available. Come and be part of history. It is going to be an amazing night. The talent levels are off the charts. I've seen people who are coming in from America who go, I need to go and see Revpro. It's so cool to see the worldwide grasp that people have got on this. Come and make yourself part of the show. Come and enjoy it. I've been George. This has been Dave and Francesca. And the star of the show, Alfie Bow, as well. We will see you.
Baba. Hey?
We will see you next week at Wembley.
I will see you then.